Every city you burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashrothi, and this is my co-pilot, Zorya. And it is October 17th, YC126, and the most important election of the year has begun. This is the Eve Universe Show. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's it going, guys? Settle on in. Of course, I am talking about the CSM election. The Council of Stellar Management 19 election has begun today. So we are going to be discussing which candidates I recommend you consider voting for and my ideas about that, as well as some other news that is going on. There's a new Iddon news to go over, etc., etc. And of course, we're going to go into the video fragments, the recording logs that we've been receiving over the last week or so. All of that and more today on the Eve Universe Show. So make sure to like that video, like the stream, settle in, all that stuff. How's it going, guys? Good to see you. Also, yes, thoughts and prayers to Danny's computer. We were going to put out my dogs and cats fighting like dogs and cats. Hey, you two. Oh, boy. So we were going to get the video about my rant about like my mind being changed on on Zarzak, but unfortunately Danny's computer has decided to rebel. So reps on her computer. Hold on, let me see if I can break. What? Don't do that. You want up? Oh, no, you just want to fight me now. Apparently, this has become a I fight my dog stream. Ow! Ah! Ah! Nope, nope. Not like that. Yeah. Puppies, man. She was asleep like literally 5 minutes ago, which of course means she's super energetic now. Anywho, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. Casting your vote for the CSM. Oh, this is actually terrible. Hold on. There we go. Cast your vote now. Voting is now open for the 19th Council of Stellar Management. We have 47 candidates vying for your vote. Head over to the CSM voting page and cast your vote for the candidates who best represent your interests in New Iddon. Vote invited. During the campaign period, candidates were interviewed in a community podcast and streams, as well as engaging in short discussions on CCP TV. For deeper insights into their platform, each CSM 19 candidate has a dedicated campaign thread where you can learn more about their candidacy. Voting ends on 11 UTC on the 24th of October, so make sure you cast your vote in time so your voice can be heard. All Capsuleers with Omega status and accounts active for at least 60 days are eligible to vote in the elections. Every account that votes will be awarded a skin for the Council Diplomatic Shuttle, the Sorrow Black Troop skin. The skin will be available for redemption via NES after the election is over. They should just give us another Council Diplomatic Shuttle. Like, what? Why? Every vote counts, so gaining a proper understanding of how the voting process is crucial. For more information on the CSM voting process, check out the video below. So the thing that's important to note about the CSM voting process is that it is not a first past the post. It is a ranked choice voting system. So you can vote for multiple people, and as people hit threshold, or as there are people that, well, either threshold for too many votes, enough votes to be elected, or too few votes and getting removed, then their spare votes get put on to the next person, and then the next person in your line, right? So if you vote for, say, DutchGunner as your number one, and DutchGunner gets in, then, and your vote wasn't, like, then they will proportion out of the people that voted for DutchGunner as their number one, how many of them voted for X for number 2, Y for number 2, et cetera, and then distribute those votes accordingly. So that way, everyone's vote has the maximum amount of chance to be counted, which means, of course, you want to fill up the voting roll as high as you can. You get a total of 10 people to choose from. It is better than our current real life system in America. That is true. All right. So without further ado, I'd like to go over my choices. Now, there are lots of good candidates to choose from, and you are welcome to disagree with me. I did ask for feedback, and I didn't get any, so I didn't really change my mind much. But here we go. On my number 1 spot, I put DutchGunner. And the reason why is because, A, I think that he has a lot of passion for the CSM. He's ran multiple times and has kept with it in spite of any kind of obstacles in his way. He represents an important view of the game where he is both a fleet commander, so has the experience of cat herding small to mid-sized fleets, and also really big into the role playing. More importantly, he is a role player, or he focuses on lore-based stuff, but he is unafraid of dangerous situations. And in fact, he often goes head on into it. He's one of the people that has most explored the drifter threat, which with Revenant coming, the drifters are like a major villain that seems to be rearing their head recently. And I think that DutchGunner literally wrote the book on fighting drifters. So I think that it would be really useful to have him at the table to be able to give his feedback as early as possible. I've often put him as like my 2 or 3 vote, but he often gets eliminated before it's his turn or whatever. And so like if more people put him earlier, he would have gotten in. So I think that this is the year for DutchGunner to get in. So I've put him as my number 1 vote. He's the only one with lore in the campaign description. Yes, if you want to see, I do have links down below of interviews and other discussions with these people that I've had. I did interview DutchGunner many times, you can actually see, but I've posted my discussion with him a couple days ago when we were talking about the Revenant expansion and kind of our initial reactions of it all. So it's a pretty long discussion with him. I think it gave a good idea of kind of the way he thinks on the fly. And yeah. My number 2, Mike Azariah. Mike Azariah paved the road that DutchGunner is walking. Mike Azariah was the very first candidate to be like, I'm not part of a block. I represent the high-sec people. I represent the people with little cohesive voice. And he ran again and again and again until he won. And then when he won, he represented his constituents effectively, wisely, and whatever. He's constantly in the rookie chat. His guides are constantly linked in the rookie chat. He travels from newbie zone to newbie zone with the magic school bus, distributing ships out to new players. And these ships are well-fit combat ships. And that's the point, that every step of the way, Mike Azariah is trying to set people up for success in EVE Online, breaking them out of their ideas of safety and, like, oh, you're just a new player, and into the idea of being a fully fledged, integrated, active player base. So, Mike Azariah is the reason why we have the Bowhead, the incursion community needed better transportation ships for their fit ships. Mike Azariah was a huge advocate for that, and eventually we got the Bowhead. That's actually why the Bowhead is like now his signature ship for the school bus. He got diagnosed with cancer, so he couldn't serve for some time. As soon as he beat the cancer, he was right back in serving our community once again. That man deserves our vote as long as he's willing to keep coming to the table. He is the grandfather of the CSM. He brings a stabilizing force there. He is, I think, I think the Oz is also. I'm very reluctant to vote for incumbents this year for maybe obvious reasons, but Mike is definitely on there. Is there a school bus Bowhead skin yet? Maybe I should sequence him one if he hasn't gotten it yet. Number 3, FrozenFallout. I interviewed him earlier, I think last week, over the weekend. I put it out on Monday. And FrozenFallout, as I talked about in my previous stream, changed my mind on the emanation system. And of course, everything involving Zarzak, I'm super triggered on. You know, the whole thing with bubbles and emanation lock, I've been a big boo-hooer about all of it and pissed off that nullsec is changing our place. And, you know, his perspective on it really helped me think about it better and change my mind on it. So, you know, it shows to me that he has a understanding of not only faction warfare, but kind of how everything links together. And more importantly, he knows when to be like, hey, man, that's your thing. Enjoy it. Let them have what they want, right? And so I think that that's very valuable. I do want to stress, and might be controversial, but I don't care. There is one person in this entire thing that I'm recommending you not vote for. Which is Young Puke. If you like my opinions about things, then do not vote for Young Puke. He does not represent the faction warfare that we know and love. He represents a faction warfare that's trying to be big capital nullsec fights. Every single fleet I'd ever been in with him, he dragged us off the nullsec or out of position or whatever. FrozenFallout understands the actual and appreciates faction warfare for what it is. Much better representative. Number 4, Ariel Rin, the ESI candidate. Okay. So back when Steve Ronikin was running for CSM, I had a policy. Anytime Steve was running, he was my number 1. And the reason why is because we need a person on the CSM that is into the ESI, okay? The ESI, which is the third-party development tool endpoint, is one of those things that if we allow them to, CCP just kind of ignore... Hi. Yes. The CCP just kind of ignores completely. There isn't like a dedicated team often for the ESI, and it's really just like you have to convince individual developers in CCP to care enough to maintain the ESI. And so having somebody on the CSM like was critical. The world was far different when we had a dedicated ESI member on the CSM. So I think that it's incredibly important to have somebody like Ariel Rin on the CSM. What is the rationale? What is the rationale behind distancing yourself from the blocks right off the bat? I don't feel like I'm necessarily doing that. I don't agree that I'm doing that. I mean, I don't have a lot of block candidates on my votes, but I often feel like block candidates have their votes. So I'm trying to recommend people that are not necessarily part of big blocks. There are definitely people within the big blocks like Casimir that I think are effective for the CSM. However, you know, I leave it to them to sort out their stuff, you know? Oh, well, the reason why is because, in my opinion, the null blocks kind of fight over their position, and each null block kind of gets, you know, however many positions they get, right? Like Horde can usually get their 1 or 2 candidates in. Goons usually gets 3 or 4 candidates in, and it usually leaves like 2 to 3 candidates that are like wild cards. And so everybody's kind of competing for those few positions. You really either cater to the block voters or you try to show yourself off as being the person that the non-block voters should rally behind. That makes sense? Number 5, Drake Iddon. I have a video of his called I May Have Interviewed the Most Dangerous or hold on, what was it called actually, now that I think about it? Hold on. shoot, I forgot. Well, I did interview him for CSM 17, but I also interviewed him. Did I interview the most terrible guy in Pochvin? Drake Iddon was the guy who did the seagulling. He is the Panther with over 150 kill marks in Pochvin. Like him or not, Drake Iddon understands Pochvin on a level that probably nobody else does. He also has been extremely active on Reddit and other places, setting misconceptions straight, getting the news out there, and staying on top of things. Drake Iddon knows his shit, and he's going to have his influence on the game, whether or not you vote him in or not. So might as well get his name in there. But yeah, if you ever see a Panther in Pochvin, just run. Next, number 6, Seddow. I also interviewed Seddow a few times. Seddow is a big FC. He's worked for a lot of different groups. I think he's part of Deepwater Hooligans now. So as far as like the guys who are claiming to be really experienced FCs, blah, 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 of them, I think Seddow, he's the one I've flown under. He's the one that I feel often has a very level head about things. And I think that he provides some really good perspective on things. I've interviewed him in previous years. You can go check those out. There's a link down below. Number 7, the Oz. You know, you kind of have to put him in your list somewhere, right? Because the Oz is the premier, number 1 most respected person when it comes to the EVE Online market, and even to a lesser extent, the actual real life economy of CCP and it's, you know, EVE Online and that sort of stuff. He's got a YouTube channel. He's been highly connected to everything. He's very good at explaining his positions and rationales. So I think that the Oz should absolutely be in the CSM. He would have been further up my list if I thought that there was any concern about him getting on the CSM at all. We should vote him to replace Ilmar. I don't know about all that, but, you know. And then finally, I didn't fill it out all the way because I wanted to leave a couple of spots for people to fill in for their own stuff. But my number 8, which is kind of my wild card, was MILINT ARC Trooper. MILINT ARC is definitely the wild card. He's kind of a goofy dude, but he's the one that comes out with the craziest, like, outside of the box thinking designs for things. So the thing is that, like, it's so often in these kinds of environments for us to get to like an echo chamber where, you know, the developers are all thinking about it their way. And so they all understand it their way, and the CSM might catch some of that when it gets exposed to them. But if everybody's kind of thinking the same way, then they may not, like, everybody thinks it's a good idea until it's released. MILINT ARC Trooper is the kind of guy who will look at it and immediately come to mind with 5 different ways that something will be broken, or some way to use it in some creative ways. And the answer, and the God honest truth is, while we do have plenty of fleets and plenty of hardcore solo pilots and hardcore industry pilots and all these sorts of things, we also have a lot of really creative people. And MILINT ARC Trooper represents the people who think outside the box, who doesn't follow the norms and standards. So there you have it. I think that this is my choices for the CSM. This is who I voted for. This is who I think that you may want to consider voting for, and why. I've got links again down below for interviews with several of these people, the ones I have interviews for. But I encourage you to check out your own stuff. Just make sure to vote with all of your Omega accounts that you can. Get that skin and participate in the Council of Stellar Management. Most important thing is do not, like, give in to cynicism, thinking like, oh, this is just for null block control or anything like that. Because here's the thing, the null blocks are going to get their guys to vote. So if you choose not to vote, you're only weakening anybody that you would care about, right? It may not be enough. It may be, but the point is that we won't get these people across the finish line without your support. And also, just a reminder to anybody who is given a block slate, you don't have to vote for your block slate 100% or even at all. No one can notice, nobody can tell. So, you know, vote your conscience, etc., etc. But yeah. Participation is freedom's guardian. Exactly. All right. That should be about it for the CSM situation. Any questions, comments, concerns, people I missed? Criticisms? No? Going once? Going twice? It must be perfect. Let's move on. This is your New Eden news for October 17th, YC126. SOCT urges Capsuleers not to support the Deathless. Oh, Keshal and or Kenneth Feld. Okay, yeah, that's actually a good one. Let's go back to that. So, Keshal Iddon, well, honestly, I don't know enough about Keshal either way. I think I've actually interviewed them before, but like, I couldn't pull up anything about it. And as I said, nobody like brought it to my attention or anything like that. So definitely worth consideration. Kenneth Feld. Okay. The reason why I'm not recommending Kenneth Feld isn't because I don't think that he would make a good CSM member. The key about Kenneth Feld is that Kenneth Feld was the CSM during the significant industry changes that happened during scarcity. He was the CSM at the time. He was positive about it. He spoke of like the next steps and everything like that. So in my opinion, like that's for industrialists to decide. If you like the philosophy of industry that has been playing out over the last 2 or 3 years, then Kenneth Feld is the guy who you want to vote for to reinforce that. If not, then not. He represents big time level industry. So I left him off my recommendations because I feel like industrialists, of which I do not consider myself a powerful industrialist, industrialists can make their own decision on Kenneth Feld. All right. Let's go ahead and start this off again like a segment. 8 years, well, 4 years. Basically everything past scarcity. So we're talking about like the introduction of the R4 moon reactable requirements, etc. Yeah, he wants depth, then gets creative niches. Give the little guy more chance. Yeah, and there is a lot to be said about his philosophies and how it's worked out. Like, you may not like, you know, the industry changes made things more challenging in certain ways, but it did create new niches and new angles to work on in a world in which the industry system struggled with that pretty significantly, right? T1 industry was difficult to get into and make it profitable. T2 industry was very complicated and a huge jump in complexity from T1. So if nothing else, these changes did make the progression from T1 to T2 a lot more smoother and provide more niches and avenues for somebody to find their place in New Eden as an industrialist. So yeah. That's true, but I also think that the foundation of T1 minerals and T1 ship production shouldn't be put on an altar in a post-capital production nerve. Well, so the whole point of a lot of the industry changes wasn't necessarily to nerf one or buff the other or whatever right now. The goal was to add additional levers so that way they can buff one without modifying the other. The problem is that capitals prior to this change, they were just T1. All capitals were just T1 ships, which means they only took just raw minerals. Now, obviously, you had to turn those raw minerals into capital components and then those capital components into the capital. But in the end, a Titan, the only difference between a Titan and a cruiser was just the amount of minerals required, right? As far as the inputs. So what they did was they added things that were unique to capitals, and they added things that were unique to subcapitals. And, you know, so they put in different things in different places such that they can make capitals harder to build without then making battleships harder to build too. Isogen scarcity is such a strange idea to now have capitals have their own unique costs. So that the Isogen thing was more about the need to reinforce differences in space. So it used to be that the different areas of space had different minerals, and so you had to get different areas of space people had to trade between different areas of space. And then as nullsec got improved, especially with TCUs and stuff, they were able to mine basically everything they needed in nullsec, which is what led to a lot of the turtling that we saw. But really, like, a lot of things, pretty much everything could be gotten in anywhere. So they changed it so that way only certain materials could be found in high-sec, only certain materials could be found in low-sec, and only certain materials could be found in null-sec. And if you think about mining in high-sec, low-sec, and null-sec, obviously the mining in low-sec is significantly more dangerous and significantly less done. So the low-sec minerals gain becomes a new kind of bottleneck. Of those two, Noxium and Isogen was needed in significantly more things. Hence, the explosion of value of Isogen. I mean, something was going to be a winner in that rollout. You know what I mean? All right. So, anything else? It's good questions, though. All right. I'm going to do like an opening, like a proper opening this time. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is your New Eden news for October 17th, YC126. SOCT urges Capsuleers not to support Deathless. The SOCT has issued an official message to all Capsuleers in response to the Deathless's recent request for Atavum, mysterious devices left behind by ancient Jovian explorers. Atavum had been discovered in relic sites all across New Eden and wormhole space. Idmi Sphere, the CEO of the Society, urges pilots to bring the Atavum to the Society of Conscious Thought Station in FDZ-4 Tank A instead of delivering them to the Deathless hands. Here is the message in full. To the Capsuleers of New Eden, we have always strived to foster a deep understanding of our universe and preserve humanity's path to a more enlightened future, regardless of our creed or country. Since the withdrawal of our patrons from the Third Jovian Empire, we have not wavered from this mission. But not all paths lead to enlightenment. There are corruptors in the world whose only goal is to spread misrule and thrust us into darkness. The so-called Deathless is one such agent, and he seeks to consume the fowl of pure technologies of the ancient Jove, technologies that are our shared legacy. Take, for example, the fulcrum he resides in. Once a silent monolith to a long-lost past, it has been perverted into a den of iniquity. Now he demands these Atavums so he can squander the history that they represent and pervert them to his base purposes. We at the Society wish only to protect and preserve these ancient treasures, so that their secret might be used responsibly. I implore you, bold Empyreans, to bring any Atavum you discover to the Society instead. You will be fairly compensated for your deliveries, and can be at peace, knowing that they have been safely stored far from any ill intent. We trust that you, whose lives were built on secrets shared by our former patrons, will do what is right for New Eden. The message came in response to reports of Capsuleers trading Atavum at a research station beside the recently discovered shrouded structure in Zarzak. At this research station, the Deathless Circle has been passing out upgrades of combat probes, relic analyzers, and implant blueprint copies, and valuable honorarium in exchange for Adavum. Inside sources have indicated that the Circle intends to study these Adavum in order to learn how to unlock the mysterious structure. Given their past association with criminal organizations, the scope is awaiting further confirmation of these reports. Journals and Adavum's buy orders. The SOCT has issued buy orders in their FDZ4 Tank A stations, offering compensation to anyone who delivers Adavum to their archives. They've also extended this offer to include old journal data that has also been discovered recently in relic sites. These journals were penned by a former member of SOCT. Speaking on behalf of the society, Idmesphere stated that they would be, quote, grateful for the timely recovery of any information this member of our society left behind, end quote. According to him, as the journals were made by a member of their organization, they are SOCT property. News in brief. Lidai CEO Alconi Ishiona under fire from Amar veterans of Drifter War after calling them a distraction from the real threats. Polling administrators prepare as voting in Councilor Stellar Management election begins. Crowds gather around viewing areas as excitement builds ahead for Alliance Tournament 20 open matches this weekend. IGC under fire from SEC over Garissa's tournament sponsorship. Republic Fleet requests for increased defense budget brought before tribal chiefs. President Agard celebrates economic success despite opposition critics. St. Tetramont struggled to gain an edge over Blood Raiders as Capsuleer's support evenly divided. And that is it for your New Eden news on this October 17th, YC126. A little bit of analysis. So obviously the Deathless has been asking for these Adavums as well as the hypercatabolic clone tissue. The Society is offering their own reward, but this is just ISK, not those other prizes. It is kind of interesting that they're asking you to bring it to the FDZ4 Tech A system, which makes it not that much safer than bringing it to Zarzak itself. But I guess, you know, I think I'm going to abstain from commenting on this as a proud Deathless supporter. I will let you come to your own conclusions as to whether or not the Society of Conscious Thought, you know, the ones that are involved in the War of a Million Lies, is telling the truth or not. But yeah, we'll just leave it at that, I suppose. Now then, the Lidai and so the Amar and, well, Lidai specifically and the Amar have had a long positive relationship, but calling the Drifters a distraction from the real threat is probably not going to win him any friends. This is the first day of the Council of Stellar Management election, as we covered earlier. And this weekend is the start of the Alliance Tournament 20. They did the qualification matches like a month or two ago. The actual Alliance Tournament starts this weekend, so make sure to check out the CCP Twitch for awesome tournaments and cool prizes. The IGC under fire from SEC over Garissa's tournament sponsorship is based on the fact that the Garissas are sponsoring this tournament, and they've gotten their own corrupted version of the the Concord ships as their prizes. Republic Fleet requests an increased defense budget brought before the tribal chiefs. Not sure, more machinations. President Agard celebrates economic success despite opposition critics. When she was rolling out the automation for all policies, there were a lot of people complaining about the fact that this would potentially have problems with workforce and et cetera, et cetera. But I think this is, there have been plenty of people that have opposed President Agard in the past. She seems to always be successful despite opposition. So bear that in mind. And I think that she's coming up for election soon too. So we'll see how that goes. And St. Tetramon struggles to get over an edge over the Blood Raiders, has to do with the Crimson Harvest event that is happening right now. So that is it for my analysis of the New Eden news. We are still waiting. This is just a piece of the rollout leading up to Revenant expansion. Let me know down below if there's anything I missed, or if you have any thoughts about what might the SOCT have in store for these Adavums. And hell, what might the Deathless have? But other than that, that is it for today. I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. All right. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. Don't go. War of a Million Lies is the biggest Jovian psyop. Yeah, pretty much. Leaves now that the stream has ended. It's the fish. You gotta know the fish. That's the sign that it's not over. All right. I do have a couple of things to go over. I didn't really want to cover this in because it's very speculative in that last segment, but on Hobelies today, we did get some stuff that is completely very useless to us. These unreleased ones, we don't have any information about what that's going to be. But we have Shatter Paradigm Skin. And these all have a quote from the IGC CEO, right? Let's see if we can pull them up in game. Ah, I can. Oh, huh. So my initial thought was this was going to be like stream prizes for the Alliance tournament. However, this little diamond here almost always indicates bought for Plex on the Plex market, or part of like a Plex pack or some sort of package deal. Well, yeah. I mean, well, the SOCT was founded by Jove, but like there are no active Jove within the current SOCT. Yes, that's actually a really solid guess. It's probably the skill book for the new weapon system. Although I imagine that there might be more than one skill book for the weapon system. Question. Is the Atavum and... Hold on. Is the Atavum and the flesh two different things? If so, did they request the latter two? Unless I missed it, that seemed to be left out or no. The flesh? Are you talking about the Jovian body parts? Because that's like from 2005. The new weapon system seems like it'll be a secondary weapon system, like a bomb launcher to supplement your primary. Possibly. But almost, like, I don't remember the last time that they've released a new weapon system without any support skills. Oh, hypermetabolic clone tissue. Right. They didn't say anything about the hypercatabolic clone tissue at all. But the hypercatabolic clone tissue seems more like that is actually deathless stuff. Like those, like the description kind of makes it sound like those are deathless clones. And they were talking about how they've been attacking caravans and stuff. So I think that right now the implication is that those things are actually from deathless tech, but I'm not, they might be Upwell tech. I don't know. Anywho, so if we look at this, can we see what it looks like? We can. Yep, and it has the IGC appearance on it and all that stuff. So chances are this is going to be sold for some sort of Plex pack or some sort of, you know, pack of some kind during the Alliance tournament. That would be my guess. But they could be Twitch drop rewards and such too. They have given away, like Maligan Marshlights are premium skins. They used to be sold for Plex, but now they started giving them away on Twitch streams. Yeah, it does seem like it's a boarding party. Yeah. We're not sure whether or not it's, you know, if there have been guesses about like, well, is there going to be specialty ammo like these hypercatabolics or Marines or whatever, but we don't know at all yet. So Ewar? What about it? So, hold on. The let me pull them all up real quick. Go to Notepad. New note. Okay, so Orthrus. That looks pretty good. I really wish you could start with a skin, like with the Skinner system. Be like, yeah, I want to start with this skin and then put this design on it or change these colors on it. That'd be so cool. I do like this one. Just because I like the Magus, and the Magus doesn't have enough good skins yet. Executor Navy? Executor Navy is an extremely popular ship. Even though I think it just recently got nerfed a little bit. EOS, one of my favorite command ships. Wouldn't the base price of the Skinner then start with the cost of the base skin? Well, I mean, there are skins without a base cost. And yeah, it'd make it difficult to sell it to other people or whatever, but look, don't trifle me with petty details. I want what I want. The new weapon system, from the sounds of it, will be a secondary weapon, because making a percent-based dot your only source of damage would be impossible to balance between useless and OP. Possibly. That's a good point. But while that is, informed speculation, or like it does have good logic to it, it is still speculation. We'll have to wait till we see more information about it. Punisher? Yeah, the IGC skins look... these are definitely the best IGC skins that they've come up with, for sure. You know what I think, actually, is funny about this? You can see that they're showing off two patterns being used, right? Like, it's got a white texture, and then you have this blue shattered texture, or pattern, and then you have this stripy pattern, right? So this is part of the features that's coming in the expansion, is the ability to make two patterns. So this ship skin was made with two patterns. Now there's other stuff too, like the text and, the lighting and stuff like that, but I do find it interesting. Drone boats are a thing. You can have dot-based roll that spreads it across the enemy fleet while still being useful in other ways, Logi, ECM, tackle, etc. Drones would be a good way for them to have a different weapon system alongside it. We still have so many, like, depending on how the answers to the questions go, it could be very, very different things. It could make perfect sense for one of these breacher pods to kill something by itself, like given a normal amount of time. But yeah. Pontifex? Is this the Pontifex? Yes. Pontifex is the Amarian command destroyer. Augurer Navy. Augurer Navy is probably, is a very popular ship just because it's got really great projection and amazing tank. It's just a brick. Yeah, the dot doesn't stack. Mauler? Looks good. We already looked at that one. Okay, So we see it's Magus Pontifex, Augur Navy issue, Executor Navy issue. So those are kind of comparative between Amar and Glente. But then you have Punisher, which is a Tech 1 frigate, and Mauler, which is a Tech 1 cruiser. We don't see any of that for the Glente. Instead, we see the Eos and the Orthrus. Huh. Coolio. I think it's telling that they used a destroyer and a BC for the first ships, both having the highest turret counts. I mean, that's an interesting point. I hesitate. And the reason why is because the last two weapon systems that they've introduced, well, two of the last three weapon systems that they've introduced have both been fit one on your ship. That's your only weapon, right? The Triglavian Disintegrator and the Edencom Vortron Projector both are like, here's your one. But yeah, it could be a supplementary thing. That's true. But to bring this back to the point, I still don't think that it would be without its own support skills too, right? If anything, like making it so it shoots further, right? Or whatever. Or like the idea that a weapon system would be introduced without any new support skills that it relies on, and only working with the support skills that, like, even the Vorton Projector uses missile skills and turret skills in order to do its calculations, but it still has their own support skills too. To be fair, the destroyer looks like a spitbull duct tape to a jackdaw, so, well, it looks more like a spitbull with a cutler scheme on it. I don't know. It looks very spitbullish. It's true. All right. Anything else? Dot duration. Yeah, exactly. Increase dot duration. Increase, reduce reload time, etc. Like, the idea that it would have no skills at all besides it's just one is pretty, like, I don't know. It's totally the front of a jackdaw without... Hold on. I mean... Yeah, and I guess that makes sense, because it's a combination of Kaldari and Mimitar, right? And so that looks like a combination of the Tornado. I always said it looked like the Kestrel, but let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it does have like a Blackbirdish sort of look to it. I don't know. It looks Kaldari, but I can't quite put my finger on it. But this end looks very Mimitar-ish, right? The other thing is, I don't see anything else on, like, turret hardpoints. Although, yeah. I don't know, man. Oh, yeah, it's definitely the top sail of a Tornado. If it's Mimitar, it's probably rusty and smells bad on the inside. I mean, that's just the Seddows. Don't worry about it. Okay. And the other thing I wanted to cover today, today might be a shorter stream. Hey, look at that. If the boarding dot things works well, I wonder if we could add a boarding crew of saboteurs to, say, add a little extra time to cool down cycle times instead of damage. Firewolf, I have wanted forever. I want a ship that does negative effects on the enemy, like an anti-command burst, right? specifically, what I would like to see is a weapon system that when it's being applied to the person, to the ship, it actually reduces the resistances of that ship. We are about to get, we're about to jump into that, Joe. That's the next thing. Stormbringers don't even have a utility high. Yeah, I know, kidding, right? It ticks me off so, excuse me, it ticks me off so much. I just need a tractor beam or a salvager or a probe launcher, whatever. I just need a utility high. All right, and I think that that's actually a good opportunity for us to start jumping into it. All right, so around the same time that the Atavum began to appear in relic sites, another thing started to drop too. In fact, we can go back to the here and look, and we see that there is a bunch of recovered journal entries from this Archeo student, Yosef Okada, that begins in YC110-05-29, goes through to, it skips to YC113-01-15, then skips to well, it has some in 114, then 115, then 117 for quite a few of them. And that's the end of it, okay? So just to make sure that we understand, that means it started in 2008. This is 2011. This is 2012, 13, and 15. Okay? Which also means that these correspond with this 2010 corresponds roughly with the Empyrean age. 2013, or sorry, YC113 is roughly Templar 1 dust time. And 2017, or sorry, YC117, 2015 is roughly Drifter Caroline Star time. Okay? So, with all that said, we as in they, have recovered several of them. There is a few of them that are still not recovered yet. Overall, we've recovered 13 out of 20 of them. They are using, people are coordinating on the Arataka Research Consortium Discord. This spreadsheet was created by, developed by Gumi Aihikin and is edited by Winter0729. So thank you to both of them for their work. What's interesting about these is that not only do they have text, but they actually are voiced. So I have all of the journal entries, I believe, in order. We'll find out. So let's go ahead and turn on my desktop audio and see what we can see. I've read most of these, but I don't know if I've read the new ones for today. So let's see if anything jumps out.
And I cannot sleep. But who could on a night like this? Buried for 15,000 years, and I'll be among the first to see it. Incredible. No one is more shocked than I am at the lead archaeologist's choice. I guess when she called me a reckless insubordinate, it was a compliment. Whatever her reasons, I leave for Caldari Prime in the morning. What we find there could change New Eden forever.
Okay.
Clubs, all the beautiful.
Oh, shh.
I was chastised today for too much fraternizing with the locals. Are they kidding me? Why wouldn't I? The Caldari tournaments, the Galente nightclubs, all the beautiful people, the incredible food. I had not lived before I ate a Lumenwurst on Rotebraut. We start work on the dig in 3 days, and until then, I intend to make the best of my time outside that stuffy old Kits.
So remember, he is a SOCT guy, so kits are like the Jovian groupings, and the SOCT are organized into kits as well. When I found my first TikTok, my tiny Imicus got blapped by 2 Macarials sitting at the next gate. Oof. I like that you're calling these TikToks, though. That's pretty good.
I saw a man slumped beside the rubble of a fallen house today. I asked him who he wept for. He stared at me and replied, "All of us." This city has become a graveyard, and not all its dead lie buried.
So, hold on a second.
He stared at me and replied, all of us.
We search for YC110. June. Yeah, so the invasion of Caldari Prime was in June. And then by August, the occupation of Caldari Prime took a turn for the worse as Caldari resistance fighters turned to bombings and using the tactics of guerrilla insurgency in the face of well-equipped and large Caldari militia or military. The death toll rose steadily through the month, which ended on the grim revelation of a secret prison being set up by the Caldari occupation force in an abandoned underway arcology. So, yeah, all of the YC110 stuff is taking place on Caldari Prime during the course, or just after the invasion by Tibus Heth. So,
the fighting, unlike our work, continues. I was born in the lower levels of Caldari Station to Caldari parents. We were taught that this planet is our true home. The state has decided the best way to get it back is to bomb it into dust. The Galinte are raised knowing that this star system is their home, and the best way to make that home secure is to bomb this planet into dust. Both sides are so busy fighting over rocks and exploding balls of hydrogen that they don't even notice the lives destroyed in the process.
that's a cool commentary on the conflict. He's got a good point.
Last night, a stray piece of ordnance hit the outskirts of the city. The dig site was obliterated, and 15,000 years of history was lost. The contemptible arrogance, the petty waste. And for what? Why did I come here? To witness death? To lose my heart? To see a dream destroyed? There must be a lesson to learn from this insanity, but I'm too blinded by my rage to see it.
Okay, so this is actually one of the newer ones, and it reveals that like his stuff got blown up. Let's see. December, Federation Industry rallying enthusiastically. In contrast, the Caldari state was racked by uncertainty about its economy, and the occupation of Caldari Prime continued to be problematic, with the Galinte resistance found to be receiving substantial off-world support. Oh man, this is the two murders, or the two executions. That's an interesting chronicle. But I don't see anything that's like specific to why it got blown up today, or that time, at this point.
A shuttle is on its way. I should be relieved, but I can only think of the innocents we're leaving behind. We'll never know what secrets the dig held, but if our ancestors truly did arrive here from some distant star, it cannot have been for this.
Yeah, so it's important to note that Caldari Prime originally was a massive terraforming project by several mega corporations in the early days. So there could very well be archaeological records that go back to the very, very earliest days of New Eden. you think you found yours. I think these can be found in any relic site. So now we skip to YC113, which is 3 years later. This is now contemporary with like Templar 1.
The ceremony was long. But at the reception, they told me my application for a solo expedition to scour relic sites for traces of Jovian explorers has been approved. The kit's governor made a joke about hoping it would go better than my first expedition. I managed to squeeze out a smile. The first Jove understood that a civilization is elevated by multiplicity. Their wisdom gives me hope. Perhaps, by walking in the footsteps of the society's ancestors, I'll find a new path, free of petty tribalism.
The ceremony was long. Hold on. Is there a contemporary for that? They did post, like, if there... Whoa. It's in different languages. I see. I thought they had, like, a... If it... I guess it was... It's just there. Yeah. Hard to say what the ceremony is. YC1130501.
Few things provide clarity, like the barrel of a gun pressed against your forehead. It was naive of me to think I could just hail a caravan and swing by for a cup of tea and a chat. After some apologetic stammering, the clan member holding the rifle was kind enough not to pull the trigger. They've moved me to their leader Ronnie's ship. It's unclear if I'm a prisoner or a guest, but I am alive. For now, that feels like a win.
So, I mean, obviously the clans are Mimitar usually. YC1150819.
I never thought I would be so grateful to be back in my bunk. For the last 3 days, I've been held hostage by some ambitious con men. But I was not alone in my cell. We spent 2 days in silence before I blurted out everything to her, all my grand dreams. The final confession of a dying man. I thought she would laugh. Instead, she told me it was a fine dream, but worth nothing if I died there. Then she told me she had a plan. Now our captors are dead, and I have a new ally in Soldran. All in all, worth a few days at death's door.
I don't know who Soldran is. Hold on. Is that a person that I can look up? No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Did I mess up? I did mess up. I skipped one.
The search has run dry. Every site I visit has been picked over by others before me. If I'm going to break new ground, I must leave the safety of familiar space behind. My superiors would not approve. But when I return triumphant, they will surely forgive my methods. All I need is a little luck and a guide.
Got it. So then that leads to the barrel of the gun. So he tries to go out on his own. That's when he gets captured by the caravan. And then Soldran. Is that a name? I don't see it. We don't know who Soldran is, I don't think. Yet. YC117, so now we're in 2015, February 20th. So he's now been with Soldran for 2 years, almost. A year and a half.
When Soldran showed me today's newscast, a shiver ran through me.
I don't think so.
Their vessels are pale imitations of the original, but there's no mistaking their design. Despite the Third Empire's selective memory, my research has revealed the horrors of their forebearers. Any who would adopt the mantle of those dark days is a threat to us all. The Empires are scrambling to understand these drifters, but I know what they seek. They have awoken just as the gates to paradise slammed shut. Should they find a way in before we do, true tyranny will return to New Eden.
Okay, so this is an interesting one because this is about the arrival of the drifters, right? And
New Eden.
the key here is that his statement about how the empires are scrambling to understand these drifters. I know what they seek. They have awoken just as the gates to paradise slam shut. That is based on the idea that the Jovian stargates got shut off at basically the same time that the drifters emerged, because the drifters emerged just after Caroline's Star. So this is a reaction to the news of the drifters arriving. And he's saying that basically anybody who would have adopt the mantle of the Second Jovian Empire, because he's saying despite the Third Empire's selective memory, my research has revealed the horrors of their forebears. So they're talking about he's talking about the First or Second Jovian Empire, probably Second Jovian Empire. And he's saying any who would adopt the mantle of those dark days is a threat to us all, referencing the fact that the drifters basically claim that they come from the Second Jovian Empire by evoking things like the name Tyrant.
From site to site, we've traced the lines of connection and discovered a point of convergence. Now we just need to reach it. The circle of trust has expanded more than I could have ever hoped. Together, we have gazed further than the myopia of New Eden's empires allows, and caught a glimpse of the wisdom of the past. Tomorrow, we'll pass through the gate and take our first step toward crossing the Great Divide. I cannot sleep, but who could on such a night?
This one's particularly interesting because I don't like what gate are they talking about? Trace the lines of connection to discover a point of convergence. This is clearly like the point of it all. We've got one last video to look at, which is this takes place 15 days after the previous one.
This is all my fault. My ignorance, my hubris. It's cost us too much. This is not the time for tears. We found refuge inside the greatest discovery of our age. I could spend the rest of my life exploring it. But as it stands, that won't be long. We're trapped, and our rations are running thin. Malaya has taken charge of the caravan. We've come a long way since we first met. But if I don't figure out something soon, she may as well have pulled the trigger back then. Somehow, this place has survived the forces outside. If we can understand it, perhaps we can too.
Okay, well, so first of all, Malaya, almost positive, refers to Malaya Harada, who is the caravan master of the Harada Oki caravan, which are the people who work with the Deathless. Now, I see a bunch of people trying to say that this is the Deathless, but I don't personally think that that is true. Now, admittedly, a lot of this is my own bias or whatever, but I still think that, what's his name is the Deathless? The Fiend. And the reason why is because, like, the Deathless emerges 2 or 3 years later from this. I think it's YC118, I want to say, is like the first time the Deathless kind of shows up. Hold on a second. I go to my lore page. People. The Deathless. Oh, shh. That's not the right one. So, yeah, by by YC118. So you're telling me that how many months? Hold on. Oh, hold on a second. All right, that was my son at school. He's kind of got a migraine again, so I'm going to have to deal with that sooner rather than later. But I do want to finish up these thoughts before we wrap things up. Ash, burn this guy's voice and cadence into your speech and your brain, then watch the original Deathless broadcast. Let's listen to it.
Lies. You of all people know that Concord and the Empires have no interests in common with you. They have done nothing for you.
This is all my fault. My ignorance, my hubris.
I don't know. So here's the thing, though. Like, you're telling me that in... I have a puppy on my arm. This is getting harder and harder. So in 8 months, he goes from basically a prisoner or, you know, companion, depending on how you want to talk about it, of the Harada Oki to being a major contract bearer of a fight involving mercenaries that had already been started. So, like... so this idea, like, the Deathless already existed. His agent in the FIO, Leopold, already was embedded in the FIO, or in in the Senate. The Deathless has always come across as somebody who's been connected for a very, very long time. Not just some dude who's been being bounced between things, right? That said, this guy is clearly part of the Harada Oki, but I also don't think the Harada Oki joined the Deathless' circle until much more recently. It could be how the Deathless rediscovered Zarzak, but I cannot shake the feeling, like, so I have thought up until this point that the Deathless found Zarzak because of the Turner incident, right? One of the Jovian Stargates is in Turner. And so my suspicion has always been that the timing is just right for the Turner incident to have caused whatever it was that allowed the Deathless to find the Stargate, which he then finds the Fulcrum, which he then sends out the invitation to the Garistas and the Angels, who then start doing their own exploration of the Jovian observatories, which then that stuff falls into our hands. So then we start going into the Jovian observatories, we find the Jovian Stargate, and then there's Zarzak. So it makes me actually wonder more if what they've discovered was the device the other thing, the mysterious structure, not the actual death Zarzak itself. The other thing that I think is really important to note here is that I think that this might tie into the other piece of information that we got from the news, which is, so when we look at the outrage part, we see that the scope has pulled original blueprints of the station and sealed areas not present amongst them. Thucker construction teams have confirmed that it was not present when the station was built. RJD agents have revealed that there are gaps in the archive security logs relating to the maintenance corridor in which the secret area is situated. These gaps date all the way back to YC113, which would be right here, right? Following yesterday's incursion, the containment area is now unsealed and empty. According to Thucker scientists, the only evidence of what was once stored there are anomalous gravity stress fractures from inside the walls. So, I don't know, man. It doesn't feel like the Deathless, but it does feel like the Harada Oki had access to these adivums back around, this time period.
The search has run dry. Every site I visit has been picked over by others before me. If I'm going to break new ground, I must leave the safety of familiar space behind.
So, sometime after that, which, he meets up with the caravan in May? And then by August, he's back in his bunk. And he's hostage by the Harada Oki. Although he says now our captors are dead. And who's Soldrun? And how does Soldrun relate to...
It's cost. She may as well pull the...
Okay. So I think that Soldrun was the previous head of the Harada Oki caravan, and then something happened, and Malaya took over the caravan in 2015. Well, there is the caravan. There is a caravan that went missing with the Apocrypha event, but that is the oh no. No, it doesn't say the caravan's name here. Gosh darn it. Somebody tell me. Somebody put it in there. I'm still waiting YC117-0206 to give context for what Paradise is. This could be Jones Space, it also could be a gate number network and W477 TAC P. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. Well, and it could be a Jovian observatory. In theory. Lakat Haro. That was the name of the caravan. The Lakat Haro caravan. That's the one that disappeared in Salian incident. And then the Vo Lakat or whatever is the other one that a lot of the Lakat Haro joined. So yeah. Some speculation on the presence and absence of the SSCT symbol in some of the logs you just showed. You mean how, like,
days
basically after he's captured, he no longer uses the SOCT banner? Yeah, that's probably worth noting. That seems noteworthy. Yeah, hold on. Look at the bottom. Oh, Satori Horigu epistemetics interface. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's a good point. Hold on. What does this say? Yeah. Satori Horigu epistemic, whatever. That is part of the Deathless Circle. Quietly founded many years ago with an injection of untraceable income, the Caldari Corporation origins of Satori Horigu epistemetics would have seemed to make an unusual addition to a coalition of smugglers and mercenaries. The corporation was recruited to the Deathless Circle for its long-standing expertise in advanced faster-than-light propulsion and communication technologies, accepting readily given the irresistible prospect of access to rare and ancient Jovian technology. Named after an old Rada concept phrase, meaning a razor of deep understanding or alternative waking blade, Satori Horigu Epistemetics is a corporation with a diverse membership who always emphasize free movement of technology and information for whoever is willing to pay the right price, regardless of national affiliation. I don't think, and they don't have like a leader, which is interesting. So yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's very clear. So this one, which is YC1130501, is Society of Conscious Thought. And then this one, which is 2 years later, it's now part of Satori Horigu epistemetics. He no longer goes by doctor or assistant. That's fair. Very interesting indeed. Oh, yeah, you're right, because it goes Dr. Yosef to Yosef. The last two being a dictator record is concerning. Oh, yeah, but we don't have them. We don't have the final 3 journal entries, and we don't have the 3 journal entries that really transitions between him being SOCT and him being pirate. So they've moved me. Hold on. Yeah, they moved me to their leader Rani's ship. I don't know who Rani is though. The Deathless. So again, the very first time that the Deathless is noted is in shit. Did I lose it? Yeah. Where is there? So the very first time the Deathless is mentioned is on the 16th of June, 2016. And by the 1st of June, 2016, he was already the mercenary contact, or mercenary, basically the contractor for Intara Direct Action, Ostracon Agency, and Sekal Expeditionary Group. So, you know, this is why I don't think that this guy is the Deathless, because the Deathless was like running the show by this point. So, yeah. And by 2008, by 2016, YC118, profile of the Deathless released as a 30-year-old male with black and red skull printed bandana obscuring face. In Karula constellation of Black Rise. Yeah, it just doesn't seem too much like he's the Deathless. It could very well be, but I think that we're more looking at somebody like like a new scientist or something like that that's going to be introduced. YC118 is Yinmei. Yeah, the Yinmei Civil War, or on Shendeli, right? We've covered this in other episodes, but Yinmei, home of Shendeli, was having a civil war, and that civil war kind of got wrapped up because the Deathless pulled his soldiers out as part of a non-compete clause. So, yeah. Well, again, we'll be paying attention to these video fragments as they come out. There's still a few more to get, but those are the ones that we have. Otherwise, this weekend, we have the Alliance Tournament, and we have to go out and get your voting done. So I think that I'm going to have to wrap things up now because I need to go take care of like my son and stuff. So with all that said, I have been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put even into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing this video with everybody else, because that is how we get people to know more about this game, and a more literate player base is a better player base, and a better player base is a better Eve. Thank you guys so much for participating. Make sure to go out there and vote. And look, I proved I can do three episodes in a week. And who knows, I might even show back up tomorrow. I'm not sure what we'll cover tomorrow, but we'll do it tomorrow. Hey, Federation Frontline Report. See that guy. Vote for that guy. I put you in my recommendations pretty high up. And also go check out Federation Frontline streams. Go subscribe to him. Check out his stuff, etc., etc. Yeah. Come join us on the Convocation Empyreans. All the good stuff. But yes, I can make 3 shows in a week. Please, if you want to, please consider supporting the stream by becoming a member. By the way, as a side note, I'm actually encouraging people to not do the Patreon. It's still up for now. But Patreon's doing this conversion over to the using like subscription because of the because Apple's forcing them to or something like that. So just to avoid any confusion, just become a member on YouTube, so that way you get access to the videos when they're early when they're out. You get all those emotes and everything else like that. But and of course, make sure to link it with your Discord, so that way you can get access to the supporter channel in Discord. I also just recently did a poll with the supporters where I was asking them whether or not I should start reintroducing other video games besides Eve into the stream. They were pretty clear that this is the Eve show. So I'm going to be working on my secondary channel again to make that happen and not bring extra stuff to here. But with all that said, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. Yeah, I know. Hey, you know, I don't know until I ask. 07.
Bring on the wrecking machine. every city